Hey you guys, Yulia here. So today I wanted to show you one of the projects I'm working on right now. And this project is very interesting because I was actually brought in by a friend of mine who is also a landscape architect to help out on the design of the property. And it's always fun to work with someone else who is just as creative, and you come up with a lot of interesting and creative ideas together. Now this property is a very typical American suburban front yard and backyard. So what we found when we looked at the property is really overgrown foundation shrubs, which is, you know, a classic here in the United States, and an overgrown backyard as well. Homeowners wanted to convert the front yard to mostly plants. They wanted to get rid of their lawn almost entirely and renovate the backyard because there was a lot of issues going on there. Now, during our very first meeting, during the walk through the garden, I recommended that they plant a native tree in their front yard. And it was so funny because the husband wanted to plant a native tree for the longest time in their front yard, but he just didn't know what kind of tree would be suitable and where he should buy it. So I recommended a redbud, and I said you could order it from fastgrowingtrees.com, and he did that. The tree came within a couple of days, and he planted it right away during the summer, and now the tree is maturing. Now, I always recommend, if you know that you want trees in your garden, and you should have trees in your garden because they are your bone structure, and you know where the tree is going, get it right away. Pretty much the same day, order it, or within a week, or have someone planted it if you want a larger specimen, because trees take time to mature. And while you're working on everything else in your garden, the tree is growing there already. So in the future, you will have that bone structure that you were looking for. Next step was to remove all of the overgrown foundation plantings, and also sick hemlock in the backyard that was just blocking the light, and it was pretty much half dead. And there were some privet bushes that were a hedge. They were not functional anymore. They weren't even providing that much privacy. So we decided to kind of go scorched earth in the backyard and replant all of that with a brand new hedge. For the hedge, we actually went with a northern spire arborvitae. Those arborvitae grow to about 4 feet wide at maturity, which is great. They're a space-saving solution for a very small backyard that we have in that space. And they pretty much created an instant privacy, so luscious, so beautiful. The homeowners were absolutely thrilled. After the hedge went in, we actually started to outline another planting bed in the backyard, and that was not originally in our scope of work, but because we're already there, we decided to do it. Even if we don't plant it right away and wait until the spring, we kind of know where the plants are going to go. And we actually found this beautiful ornate piece of a fireplace that the homeowners had, and they kind of wanted to incorporate it in the garden somewhere, but they didn't know how. So we decided to just incorporate it in that planting bed and just plant maybe some beautiful asters or Solomon seal or something interesting. And the next step was to create a design for the front yard. And the way I do it, I interview the clients, and I see what exactly they're looking for in their garden. Also stylistically, I have to tie the garden either to the house or to the neighborhood, so it looks cohesive. So we came up with the idea of a small seating patio and a stone walkway that goes through the garden, through the shrub border and the meadow. And they absolutely loved that idea because it met all of their criteria, everything that they were looking for. Replacing the lawn with more native pollinator-friendly plantings, replacing the overgrown foundation shrubs with more of beautiful structural plants, and also adding some stone elements like a patio and stone walkway creates that focal point that is also practical and interesting, for example, for the kids to run around and explore the garden. At the same time, we presented the planting plan and the planting palette, and I selected all of the plants that are easy to take care of, bloom for a very long time, because even though the homeowners love to garden, they are two busy individuals with jobs and two little kids, so they have a small window to garden and they wanted their garden to look good all season long. And the next step was the construction. The construction is always the exciting part. The way it works is I show up on the site, I start laying everything out, where the patio goes, where the walkway goes, and the way that the patio and the walkway is laid is that the soil is excavated to about 10 inches deep and the subsoil is compacted with the plate. Then we have a crushed gravel that is delivered and spread in those areas, and then it compacted yet again before the stone is laid. So the slabs are nice and stable when you put furniture on them, when you walk on them. And we have to remember that we do have a freeze and thaw cycle here in northern New Jersey. So everything has to be really stable for the stone. I left pretty wide joints in between those stones because I wanted the patio and the walkway to be very natural looking and very soft. What we're going to do is plant some steppables in between those stones. At this moment, we're actually still deciding on whether to go with Corsican mint, creeping thyme, leptonella, or star creeper. We may do all 4 or 3 of those just to see how they perform. And it also will depend on availability, because availability for plants right now is pretty tough, so we will see what we can get. The next step was for the workers to spread some compost around the foundation area, because we had some shrubs going in there and the soil was really poor. So we spread about 2 to 3 inches of compost, and then everything was topped with mulch, and then we just had to wait for the shrubs to arrive. In the meantime, the sod where the meadow was going to go was removed. And I know you're probably very surprised, because you know I'm a no digger. In my garden, pretty much all of my gardens are no dig. But in this case, there was a special situation. The garden is actually on quite a bit of slope. So what I was afraid of is all of the amendments that I use for my no-dig method would just slide onto the sidewalk, which we do not want. So what we did, we actually removed the top sod layer. We did not till. The soil was still left intact. And then we're going to amend with a couple of inches of compost and maybe 1 inch of mulch instead of like 8 inches of amendments to keep everything in place. Now, if you do decide to use a no-dig method on a slope, you can use an edging of some sort to keep all of those amendments from sliding down. After your plants mature, they will hold everything in place, but during that first year of installation, you really do need to hold up those amendments from washing off. And then the shrubs arrived, and it's always such a fun moment because I can feel that the garden is starting to take shape. And the next step is to lay out all of the shrubs so the workers can plant them. And as for the shrubs, we went with serviceberry, 9-bark, oak leaf hydrangeas, allspice, mountain laurel, and other pretty much all native shrub plants. After we laid out the shrubs, they were planted and everything was mulched. And I was just so happy with the contractor. They were so efficient, really hard workers, and they also donated some plants, which was amazing. So they donated some Hakinakloa, or Japanese forest grass, which is always a useful grass for more of the shady areas, and also catmint, which is also very useful perennial for more of the sunny areas. And now I'm working on the meadow part of this project, and I already got some of the plants that I need for that. They are in my driveway right now. I will show you those in a second, but I wanted to talk about the budget. So we were given a certain budget for the entire project, and we exceeded it, which I was not surprised. There's a lot of elements that were going in the project, and they were fine with that because we had a solution. So for some of the missing plants, I actually am going to donate a lot of plants from my garden that need to be divided. And also my friend with whom I'm working on this project, she is going to donate some plants. And we can ask around the neighbors and friends if they can donate plants as well. Also, we are going to plant the plants ourselves and kind of make it a community project. Neighbors, friends, family, it's always really fun to just come together and work on something like this. So here are the plants for the meadow, and I laid them out in my own driveway, and I actually do that quite a lot just to make sure that I'm not missing anything and how everything looks. And the first thing I noticed is all of the bees. So the pollinator aspect of this garden is check mark. I don't know if you could see all the bees over there. So this is about half of the plants that I need. And I can already clearly see that I need more grasses. So the grasses, especially for meadow planting, is like the glue that keeps and holds everything together. And I'm currently deciding whether to just go with the grasses that I have here, or maybe diversify a little bit with a different type of grass, like a little blue stem or prairie dropseed. But the grasses that I have here are switch grasses. This is Shenandoah, which I have in my own garden. It's so beautiful with those red tips. And that grass right there is Cape Breeze switchgrass, which is a shorter switchgrass. As for perennials, I have a Chelone here. This is Hot Lips or Turtle Head. Absolutely beautiful. And the bees, I mean, oh my goodness. There's already tons of bees in here. It's not even planted. Then there's Agastache or Agastache, however you say it. This is Blue Fortune, beautiful. Some Woods Purple asters right there. Echinacea, the Cape Breeze switchgrass that I mentioned, and the 5-year-old really loves yellow, so we're going to incorporate some coreopsis here. I really love this particular one because it kind of echoes the echinacea. And then this combination repeats. So again, the repetition of different plants is great. I'm actually thinking I'm not going to add this lavender. It just doesn't go with this theme of the meadow. To me, this is more of like a cottagey Mediterranean plant. But all of these gaps right here, I'm going to fill either with more switchgrass or the other type of grass that I mentioned, and also spring interest. So I need some irises here for the bloom in that window in between the spring and the summer. And for the early spring, we're going to have daffodils. I think also for the spring, there will be some nepeta and some salvias that are blooming in here, and some other perennials. So yes, I'm still working on gathering the rest of the perennials. And availability has been really tough this fall, not just for this project, but for my other projects as well. And I think what we're going to do is just divide a lot of plants that I have in my garden, and I am thrilled to give some of my plants away that are overgrown and need to be divided anyway. And my friend's garden, the neighbors, and all of the other gardener friends. I think it's just such a beautiful project. And this is pretty much the process on how I design gardens for my clients. Now, if you are designing your own garden right now, or if you are stuck, if you don't know where to start, or if you need to edit your garden, I actually wrote a design guide that you can download, and it will give you a step-by-step process on how to approach a garden design. This is the process that I use when I design gardens for others, and it will help you to pick your style or decide on your wants and needs in your garden, do the site inventory, and a lot of other things that people don't normally think when they're designing a garden. Now, I do want to warn you, this is not a planting guide. There is a whole chapter on how to select your plants and how to combine them, but most of the garden design is actually not about plants, but it's about a layout and how to make your garden not just beautiful, but comfortable and practical. I will post a link to my garden design guide in the description down below. I really think it will be helpful in your garden design journey. I actually got some replies from professional landscape designers who are beginning to design other people's gardens, and they told me that it was really helpful in the process of the design. Now, as for this project, I'm hoping to finish the meadow planting this coming week and then button everything up, maybe add some patio furniture and some container planting. And I just enjoying this project so much because it was more of a collaboration with my friends, and the community and the homeowners were just so lovely. But I will definitely keep you updated. Hopefully everything will be finished in a couple of weeks, settle down, maybe in a month or so I can show you how it turned out. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new, and I will see you in the next one.